Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. So yeah, I'm the Anti-Slavery and Homelessness Development Officer. I work between Cypher Fireside and the West Midlands Anti-Slavery Network. Well, my slides aren't moving already. So the agenda for tonight is going to be quite intense. So if you need to take a break or you need a few minutes, please feel free to just take a minute. Don't worry and don't feel kind of under pressure to walk away and be an expert in modern slavery and human trafficking. Honestly, I'm still learning every day, and each case that I support honestly is just a whole minefield. So please, you're not going to walk away and know absolutely everything, but I'm hoping that you take something away from tonight. Some of the things you'll already know, because I can see there's a lot of experts in the field already that have joined us. Some things will be really, really stripped back to basics, but then some things might be really, really complex. So there might be a mixture of both in there. But please feel free to ask questions as we go along. So the agenda for tonight, so we'll be briefly going through the terminology and appropriate language, what the West Midlands Anti-Slavery Network is and what the Safe Place Project is. Also an introduction to what modern slavery and human trafficking is, going through the types of exploitation and how to spot the signs. Also the indicators of slavery and trafficking and what the common victim profile is. The impact of slavery and trafficking, barriers to survivor engagement, identifying potential victims and expressing those concerns as a professional. Also what the national referral mechanism is and how it functions, challenges and common issues, and who can support us in this work. So terminology, just because it will change throughout the training, and in this field, different organisations and different professionals use different terminologies. So just to be kind of clear of what each one means. So in regards to victim, it's generally used to describe a person who has experienced human trafficking and modern slavery. Then you'll hear the term survivor, so which is a term used by support organisations to describe a person who has experienced human trafficking and modern slavery as well. So in regards to our organisation, we tend to use the word survivor rather than victim, but you'll find kind of other organisations like local authority and the police will use the word victim. Also injured party, so a lot of documentation and a lot of reports. You'll see IP on there, so it's injured party. Mainly the police use this to describe a person who's experienced human trafficking and modern slavery. Also service user, so this is how the West Midlands Anti-Slavery Network refers to people who use the Safe Place Project, just because we asked many individuals who were accessing the Safe Place what they would prefer to be referred as, and most come back as that they would like to be called a service user rather than anything else. And then we have the word client, which how other support services refer to people who use their service. So for example, Cypher Fireside, who I'm with as well, tend to use the word client rather than service user. So using appropriate and sensitive language is super important, and I feel really, really strongly just about kind of the appropriate language we should be using when we're supporting vulnerable clients. So in regards to using the terminology sex worker rather than prostitute, and refraining from using language such as prostituted women and that she prostituted herself. And these are actually what I've heard since being in the role. And yeah, so I just rather than using those, we use the word sex worker rather than prostitute. Also, we encourage professionals to use the word survivor rather than victim. When we did questionnaires as well, we found that most individuals who experience slavery and trafficking would rather be known as a survivor rather than a victim. Also using the terminology begging rather than saying they're a beggar. In regards to homelessness, I hear the word that they're a beggar a lot, especially since I've been back in the homelessness sector. So again, just kind of refraining and using the word begging. Also, rather than using the terms illegal immigrant, which we hear so much now, especially due to Brexit, I'm hearing this a lot more, and also failed asylum seeker, encouraging professionals and staff and volunteers, whoever you're working with, to kind of use terminology such as a refused asylum seeker, or an individual has insecure immigration status, rather than them saying illegal immigrant. Also explaining definitions such as trafficking and modern slavery, as survivors may not understand what they are, and they also may not be able to relate to those terms, and not consider themselves as a victim of these terms. It's really interesting as well, because the word trafficking and the word modern slavery in several languages, when interpreted, some actually mean the word kidnap. So when you're using an interpreter and having a conversation with a client and you're talking about trafficking and modern slavery, specifically in the Vietnamese language, it means kidnap. And actually interpreters have said to us, well, that means kidnap, and they don't relate to the word kidnap because they feel that they haven't been kidnapped. So sometimes we've had to get the interpreter just to explain in a little bit more detail what the word trafficking and modern slavery actually mean. Also making sure interpreters are aware and are prepared for the conversation, as the nature of the conversation obviously may be difficult, and interpreters currently, due to COVID, may be working from home or cooking with family. Just making sure the interpreters also agree to confidentiality. Several times, and Jasmine will be able to agree on this as well, several times we've actually had to end calls with interpreters just because there's a lot of background noise. You hear babies crying, you can tell they're at home, pots and pans are bashing, and you can tell that they're cooking as whilst looking after the children, and obviously dealing with a really sensitive conversation in regards to slavery and trafficking with a client, which is obviously not appropriate. And we've had concerns that maybe we've been on loudspeaker and we don't actually know who's in the household with the interpreter. So if you're really not sure, if you feel that, hang on, this doesn't actually sound or seem right, just end the call and start again. We've had to do it. It's really lengthy, but it's obviously good practice to do. Also, not assuming gender stereotypes of strength and resilience. As we go into the training, our project is for men. I think one of the only projects in the country for male survivors of slavery and trafficking. And in the past, we've actually heard professionals say, for male clients, well, because they've been homeless before, another night won't make a difference, which is horrendous and should never be said from a professional, but that's a real example of what a professional said to us when a male client actually needed somewhere to stay for the night.
The course is the Working with Gangs and Serious Youth Violence Level 3 course. It's an accredited programme which is accredited through AIM, formerly known as OCN West Midlands. We have 8 different modules to the programme, which basically is designed to give you a holistic understanding of working with young people impacted by serious youth violence and gangs.
These programs are important because what we're trying to recognise in the country is that there needs to be a standard, and a standard around recognising how do we respond to serious youth violence, how do we respond to all forms of criminal exploitation as it affects our children and young people and our wider families within the community.
I think the Gangs and Serious Youth Violence course was probably one of the best things I've done in the last decade, for sure.
It's been a great experience so far. I've met so many people from so many different backgrounds and professions, working really widely across the youth sector, and it's been really helpful to listen to other people's points of views and experiences.